What's going on, people? It's Mr. Door back again with a review show. I hope everyone's fit and well. And yes, we're talking about yesterday's result. Nottingham Forest lost 2-0 away to Fulham. We're going to talk about what happened, what's everyone's opinion about the game. The defeat. First defeat in the league this year. So let's just digest about what happened and blah, blah. So got these panels. But before we do introduce the panel, the new and the old and the guys that's come back after years. People, if you're new, please do hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and comment below people how you're feeling about yesterday's game. Right, let's introduce to the guest. First of all, he's young, he's handsome, and it's Jay.
I thought you'd say Dave then, Dor. I think you got the wrong guy here.
How you doing, Jay?
I'm all right, thank you, mate. How are you?
I'm all right, man. I'm all good. You're back again. That's all. I missed you.
Too kind to me, I think, Dor.
I'm joking. Next up, we've got the Welsh wizard, Stephen. How you doing, Steve?
Yeah, I'm pretty good, Ben. Hope you're all okay as well.
That's all right. And last, everyone's missed him. Everyone has missed him. He's been on. All right, let's put it out there. He's been on other YouTube channels representing Nottingham Forest, and it's good to see. It's good to see that someone on this channel representing Forest, and he's back on this channel. People thought I sacked him. I didn't sack him. I just we've been through court and he won. So he's back. People show some love, not just to Stephen and Jay, the man himself, Dave. How about you, Dave? How's your break been?
Yeah, everything's fine, mate. Yeah, been sorted. I've been on a sabbatical. The idea that you would sack me, I'm like, heaven help that I'd be the Nathan Jones of DoreOnTour. Do you know what I mean?
to be honest, I thought Chelsea had signed you.
Or the Jesse Marsh, you know. I think I'm good, mate, and it's good to see you lads again. And here I am back again after a defeat. We've been on a really good. Do you know what? Forest have been on a really good run while I've been away. I come back, they get beat. So it's my fault.
So people, he's back. I said, people, please show some love to Jay, Stephen, Jay in the chat if you can. And let's people get your thoughts in about yesterday's game. We all watched it, and we all went and show our opinions about the game. Before we do, I'm going to show get the comments in. And this is Kieran. I thought Dave retired on DoreOnTour. Not heard from him for ages. Dave, I hope you're all good, mate. See, everyone thought you've gone, Dave.
Can't be killed, Kieran.
Can't be killed. This is Adam. How you doing, Adam? Good evening, Jet. Great to see the pundit Dave back here. What a bloke. Look, dear people, stop showing love to Dave. We've got Stephen here. We've got Jay here. People show some love to them too.
Stilton Asprey, mate. That's what it is.
People, come on, show some love. Come on.
You may have to change this to Dave on tour.
Oh, Dave. We've got another top guy. This is Alan. Alan, I know you'll be happy as Larry. Good evening, gents. Unlucky about yesterday's losing two centre backs. We're all going to talk about that. That was mental. Always a pleasure to speak to you pre-match with Store. Looking forward to playing each other twice again next season. I hope so. Alan is a top guy. If you don't know who Alan is, he was on my previous show on Thursday. What a guy. Top. Raz Dad, good evening. Raz Dad, I hope you're well. Eve said, good evening, Mr. Door, Dave, Stephen, Jamie, I hope you're well. It's good to see Dave on the review show again. Bloody hell. Why is Dave getting all this love? It's me, Stephen, and you know what? I give up.
Yeah, go on, Ben. Go on.
I am going to end this show now because now Dave's here. Right, if you're happy, please subscribe. I don't know.
Ben, he sounds like he's putting bums in seats, so I just crack on.
Last but not least, Paul. How you doing, Paul? And if you do want to be a member to the show, please do. Click on the $sign, 99p. The vlog came out early this morning, so if you do want to be a member of you can see the vlog as well. I'm still more coming on. Even the boys, nice to see all heads up. Forest are staying up as well. Kieran says Dave Ashby fan TV. I think about as well. Mark, good evening, all. Welcome back, Dave. Oh, this is ridiculous. Why is Dave getting all the love as well?
It's because I get no love anywhere else, unlike you lot. You lot get cuddles. I don't get cuddles.
Right, Stephen and Jamie, for the next 60 minutes, we're going to be quiet. You might as well just be quiet. It's a Dave show.
Yeah, I've already got my sun lounger out, so I'm just going to sit back now. Gents, if you don't mind.
Dave
John, Paul, George, and Ringo, not John and 3 others.
All right. So people in the comments, listen, we're going to talk before we do. There's more comments as well, and as well. NFC says Jay brilliant interview with Dan Fletcher, classmate. Jay interviewed Dan Fletcher, so please do if you do get time straight after this stream, listen to Jay's interview with Dan Fletcher. What a guy! And I'm a bit jealous to be fair because I love Dan Fletcher as well, and Jay interviewed him. So people, like I said, make sure you do go. Jay's YouTube channel is in the link in the description. So if you can, after the stream, please go and watch him because Jay is talking a little bit gibberish and Dan Fletcher is talking as class as always. Right, another last one before we do it again. Another organised one. Nice to see Dave back on the channel. Right, people, I don't know. Why is Dave getting all this love? All this love.
Ben, I think I might have a year off next time and then come back.
Right, let's talk about the game, people. And as you know, Forest lost 2-0. We get everyone's opinion about the game. Let's start with Dave. Dave, what's your feelings about yesterday's game? People get involved as well.
The best side won, Ben, to be honest. Let's not beat about the bush. We can all be wearing our Garibaldi red spectacles, but Fulham, over the course of the 90, were the best, were the better team. I think they were certainly. I mean, I couldn't argue with anything that the two managers said last night. Marco Silva said that Fulham were the better team for the first hour. And then, quite rightly, he said that Forest came back into it. I thought Forest had a really good 25 minutes where they were the better side and looked like they were going to get an equaliser. And then in striving and yearning for that equaliser, left a gap at the back, which is kind of what happens in football. I thought that from the moment that Jonjo arrived, I thought we went up a level. And there was a time after about an hour, I really couldn't see that we were going to do anything. It might end up being, far worse than it actually was. But then it kind of started with Brennan whistled a volley over the bar, not very, wasn't far away. And then there were other chances that, and I just like the way that Jonjo came on and for the first time in a long time gave us some presence and control in midfield, because I think our weakness throughout the season really is we've won games by bullying midfields. We bullied Liverpool. That's the one I'm kind of thinking of, where we just physically forced ourselves on an opposition. But we have yet, and if you think about it, it's incredible that we're 14th with 6 wins, 6 draws and 10 defeats. And that's more games that we've not lost in than games that we have lost in. And we haven't really yet produced a performance where we've controlled midfield and we've set the tempo, and it's been Forest, dictating a game. And but I just saw a hint with Jonjo's cameo yesterday that he could come on and do that for us. But overall, no complaints. The better team won. There were people for them. And there are always 2 teams. We can be Forest till the cows come home, but there are always 2 teams on the field. Harrison Reed was exemplary. Willian, is reborn after what happened at Arsenal. He's playing really, really well. And Pereira was very good. But there were people around us who know the game, and it was a midfield battle that Fulham won, and ultimately it led to them getting the 3 points.
Jay was there. With a general view, Jay, what was your view on the game?
Well, I mean, where I was sat was crap, to be completely honest. So it was a bit of a shame. But I heard all the Forest fans in full sing, and it was, in my opinion, as Dave said, the better team won. I think we'd be naive to say that we were the better side for them. I saw some people going the better side lost, and I'm thinking, well, you're just looking through rose-tinted glasses, and you've just got to kind of take a step back and go, you've got Tim Ream at the back who's controlling it, Issa Diop who's going to completely outdo you in every aspect of the physical side in defence. Harrison Reed in the middle who's quick, agile and makes fantastic passes. Pereira, as you mentioned. And then just a really good forward attacking kind of section of the Fulham squad with Willian and others. So it was always going to be difficult. I think we made it a bit more difficult for ourselves, giving away the amount of passes that we did. We didn't help ourselves in a lot of aspects of the game. I just thought that some things we just needed more composure and a bit more focus. And, you know, I'm not going to mention names because I think that it could actually apply for everybody in the team yesterday. Just not stringing a pass together properly and just panicking a bit too much. And that's where you need that kind of experience in the Prem, as we mentioned with Jonjo, and someone that can just add that calmness, get them working on the ball and looking at the right passes and not panicking too much like we did. But as I say, better team won. Did it have to be that way? I don't think so. I think that we could have, we came into the game in probably the 60th or 70th minute, but could have been much earlier if we just calmed down a little bit and just tried to be a bit more composed. But easier said than done. Fulham were really good. All credit to them, and they're going to do really well this season. So that's my analysis of it.
Well, Steve, let's start with the first 5 minutes. The two chat. I've never, me and Jay and Dave, and all Forest fans, I've never witnessed this. Two of our centre backs leaving.
Nobody has Dore. This is the earliest. This is the earliest double substitution in Premier League history.
I would go so far as to say, lads, without jumping over everybody on here, it's, you know, I'm nearly 59 and I've watched a lot of football in my life, and I have never seen anything like it. And for those in the ground, and I was stood with Ben and Malcolm and Gary and Kieran and a bunch of other familiar faces, bless them all. We were like, when the Forest knocked the ball forward, and when it was cleared out from the back, I think by Diop or maybe Anthony Robinson or whatever, and I think it was Andres Pereira who was like belting forward. Willie was chasing like mad, and then all of a sudden Willie pulls up and he's holding the back of his leg, and I'm just seeing Willie because that's where the ball is and where the action is. And then Malcolm's turning to me and going, "McKenna's done his hamstring," and I went, "No, Willie's done his hamstring, Malcolm." And Malcolm went, "No, Scott's done his hamstring as well." And then it was just incredulity at what was going on, and like it was just bizarre. And it was such a bizarre, like I say, truly bizarre happening, but also incredibly bad luck for Forest. You know, it just, you know, like as for the two lads, and the way they limped off in front of the away section yesterday, and they got a great reception, both of them, because they've been playing well recently. Those two look like they're going to be a while, you know, when they walked off. The medical staff are going to have to pull rabbits out of hats again, which on many occasions they have done. But neither Willie nor Scott look like they're going to be back for a while. So it was not an ideal preparation on the field, and then for the dugout as well. Because then Steve's like lost. You know, I think he would have liked to bring more attacking intent on later in the game, but he couldn't do it. You know what I mean? So it just gave you a sense that maybe it's not going to be our day. You know what I mean? But it's bizarre.
Yeah, it's not like I said, Steve, from watching on TV, like I said, I think we lost 2-0. Fulham were better side, but I think that ruined it, didn't it, Steve? Losing two, McKenna and Burley, that like I said, they've not been getting as much game time as we know, but it wasn't a good time, was it? Losing the first 5 minutes, was it?
No. Well, just to sum it up, you spend all week training. You go through formations, tactics. They would have gone through Bally, McKenna, trying to outmuscle Mitrovic, all the tactics, all the week, all the hard work done in 5 minutes. That's got to be a question on some quiz show in about 10 years, isn't it? You know, question of sport or something. Like, you think about it, right? Two players went down with the same injury in the same passage of play, and the two in the same position. That's just freakish. That can only happen to us, surely. That's never has that ever happened in the history of football? Not even within 5 minutes, ever.
Never.
I've never seen two midfielders go down. I've never seen two strikers go down. I've never seen a keeper from either side of the pitch go down. You know, it's just a freak. And I was gutted for the pair of them because, you know, and not just because I'm a big McKenna fan. It's just because I felt, and I'm sure we'll get on to Felipe later and people like that, but I feel with Bally and McKenna on the pitch, more of a presence, maybe Mitrovic would have had. Because, right, so my thing on the game as well, Jay hit the nail on the head. I can't remember a game where I was actually screaming at the TV. They were peeing me off so much with their passing. It was doom-heading. It was so frustrating to watch. They couldn't string a pass together. I can't remember the last game where I really got angry at Forest, like in that sense. It just watching on TV. I can't imagine what it was like being there live, but on TV, and Fulham, good side, but they didn't have to work for it. They didn't have to work for the ball. They'd win it back. Reed and all, we just give them the ball back. We just basically saying, "No, lads, have the ball back. We're bored of it now." It was they had a bit of a press, but in the first 15 minutes, Fulham were throwing themselves about a bit. Did a few free kicks. There was one free kick in the middle of the park. I think it might have been Mitrovic or Paulette. What's his name? Polinia, is it?
Polinia.
Yeah.
Gibbs went to jump for the ball. He just barged him, like completely off his feet. I'm like, what is this ref watching? And then as the game wore on, and we were just giving the ball back to them, it's just like the Alamo. Then it was just like bombardment and no goal for the last 25 minutes of the first half. I'm angry, Ben. I'm really angry. That's why I'm ranting, because I want it off my chest. Like I don't usually get this angry about Forest, but yes, they really annoyed me because Fulham are a good side anyway. Don't give them a better chance of beating us. Keep the ball. Like it just went back sideways, went to midfield, and then oh, you are. You can have the ball back now. We don't want it now. Oh, it just frustrated me. But yeah, just going back to the main point, Bally and McKenna going down completely completely ruined the whole game then, didn't it? Just the whole, I don't know, it just felt we lost all our tactics and what we worked on all week. Rant over now.
Let me ask Jade, I said, when I saw the lineup, right, and I think we know Steve Cooper did it so fantastic well last season with the formation, and he played a 4-2-3-1. I don't know if it was right from the way we looked at it. Yeah. It was a 4-2-3-1. Was it, Steve? Was it 4-2-3-1 TV or differently to
what, beginning of the game or when
start the game with the formation?
So
because we seen that because I felt like we got bullied.
Yeah, midfield was all wrong.
The midfield was all wrong because
no balance at all.
There was no balance. And again, I'll talk about it later on. And I'll ask Dave about it. I praise Remo, and Mangala, but me personally, and people in the chat if you want to get involved, I don't think Remy Fuller plays good in a 2. He plays better in a 3. What was your opinion, Dave?
I would agree with that, Ben. I mean, to be honest with Remo, I find Remo fascinating because he's the most invisible footballer I think we've ever had at our club. You kind of don't really notice him at all. Yeah. Now, normally what I would say is that the less you notice Remo, probably the better he's playing. Now, yesterday, I thought he was pretty ineffective. He didn't really have any impact on the game. Now, for context, right, before yesterday, we were, in 2023, right, the best football club in this country. From January the 1st, before yesterday, we were top of the Premier League over the last 5 games, right? So we're the best club in the country. Now I'm clutching at straws. I almost kind of thought the more they talk about that, the more it's setting us up for a fall yesterday. But in those 5 games, Remo Freuler, I think, has quietly gone about his business and he's played some really, really good football. But yesterday, he seemed like he every time he got the ball, he had he couldn't work himself any space to kind of use the ball or be effective. And he never made a forward pass. But to be fair, you could say the same about Oral.
Yeah.
And you could say about any of our midfield. The only time a forward pass was made by a Nottingham Forest midfielder was when Salem's lot, Nosferatu Shelvey, came on, right? And Jonjo, I've got a Newcastle mate who's been banging on to me. You've got yourself a really good player there. Newcastle was sad to see him go. He got a great reception when he left St James's Park, right? Jonjo. And I'm not so sure. But Jonjo yesterday, to me, showed a range of passing that the rest of our midfield don't possess. And in a way, with Jonjo's cameo, sort of showed the shortcomings of Remo and Oral yesterday, where there were little passes here and there, but there was nothing that was going to hurt Fulham at all. And our ball retention, I think, is the worst in the Premier League. And given the way we keep the ball so poorly, it's a miracle we're 14th. We've yet this season to really dominate somebody with finesse. We haven't done it yet. And at some point, we're going to have to learn to do it. I mean, wouldn't next Saturday be a great time to start against that lot? But at the moment, I just feel in midfield a lot of the time we're hanging on by our fingertips, and it cannot continue like that.
Jay, let's talk. I said it was weird. I'm gonna mention as well, and Scarpa as well. Did you see anything from your view, Jay? People in the comments as well, get involved. Like, we know he's learning, he's adapting to the Premier League, blah, blah. Everyone's saying that he shouldn't be a left winger. Everyone's saying that if Scarpa plays, Wood plays. But did you see anything that Scarpa did for you, Jay? That again,
I don't know how people can say if Scarpa plays, Wood plays, because for me, I don't think that Wood is really finding his feet at Forest by the way we play, and I don't think that we should switch our formation to accommodate one player. For me, I think you're losing that flair and that kind of creativity that we had before. We're not scoring a lot, I know that, and I'm not going to deny that. But we had a bit more creativity. Like Morgan seemed really quiet yesterday, Morgan Gibbs-White. He didn't have that same thing about him, and I don't think that was for him either. The formation we had, and for Scarpa, I think I'd like to see him in that midfield three. If we played a 4-3-3, a midfield three, and he could put it out to Jonjo or whoever else, and hopefully when Taiwo's back, put him up front. So for me, I just feel that Scarpa should have been played in the midfield, and it should have been a 4-3-3. Personally, I know that he's played on the left for Palmeiras, but it's a very different league.
Yeah, I saw he played on the right. Did you play on the right?
I'm pretty sure he was on the left for.
No, I'm sure he played on the right. This is why. I'm
the left foot, isn't he?
Yeah, but he tucks in. He plays better on the right. This is what I remember. I spoke to Palmeiras fan. He plays better when he can play that number 10 role, or he likes to tuck in when he plays on the right hand side.
Either way, though, I still feel for me that Palmeiras, the league over in Brazil, albeit a very brilliant league that I love watching, it's very different. The standard of defence is very different. Fulham have a very, very good back four, amazing back four. Tete and Anthony Robinson, fantastic players, just so consistent. And for me, it was not a case of Scarpa's never going to do anything here. Obviously, he had a quiet game, but I just don't know if the formation suited him. I don't really know. I don't know. I just don't. I just don't think it does him any favours.
I know. It's a strange one. I'm looking through comments as one. Listen, Remo was great in Flink Arts, but can't really feel link things in a two. Again, from seeing comments, Jonjo looked like what I thought Remo was going to be. Love how he dropped into the back two, picking up the ball and progress. Well, we'll talk about Jonjo Shelvey later on. But like I said, when he come on, he did change a little bit with the way he controlled that midfield. Ricky said, "My midfield trio when we fit like Shelvey, Yates, and Colback." That's very interesting. That is very interesting. Will says, Fulham, Shelvey, and Yates, Colback need to be a midfield for the time being. Do you agree with that, Steve? About that?
So the whole midfield dilemma. It's
it's
so many. You could probably just put names in a hat and pull them out, couldn't you? There's just so many to choose from. It's what kind of game? I think someone touched it a few videos ago about who's in front of you. What kind of game do you want to play? If you're playing a team like a Fulham, to me, the midfield was all wrong. I know I'm not like an expert like a Steve Cooper, but from us fans looking in, an opinion, the balance of that midfield was wrong for me. And then you've got to throw in the Ryan Yates dilemma then. Where's he come back? Fit in. Colback, what does he add? He came on against Leeds, controlled the midfield. But if you want to mention the Shelvey thing, he just cranked it up a notch, didn't he? Like, from watching on TV, lads, and if it's the same being there, but some of them balls he played on the channel, and he played one through to Gibbs-White, and I thought Gibbs-White could have hit it, but he just took it up his feet, and he just took an extra touch. But Shelvey, that's what he's going to bring. Like, I live in this part of the world, obviously, being in the Swansea area, people have told me we've got one hell of a player. I got told last week by someone that he's like the best performance by midfielders ever seen is by him. Yes, he has got a downside. He has got a bit of a temperament, but from his range of passing, and I don't think Freuler and Mangala and Yates and Kobach, that's not their game. So,
no.
But you just notice Shelvey, he was doing like he does at every club. He was going deep and he drops into that right back position, looks for that square ball, and he's looking for that, and he knows Johnson's making that run.
Do you know what, Steve? I felt with Shelvey, he was the first Forest player I've seen for a while, quite a long time actually. Well, maybe not a long time. Jimmy Garner did it to a certain extent in the Championship last year, but it was the first time Forest felt like to me that they had like a quarterback.
Yeah.
He went.
Yes.
I listened to Paul Merson during the transfer window on the day that we signed Jonjo. And there was a lot of talk, we don't want him, he's a troublemaker, we don't want him, he's got bad attitude, and all the usual stuff where people are like really concentrating on the bad stuff, not looking at the good. And I listened to Paul Merson that day, and Paul Merson said, that is a really canny signing. And they said to him, why do you think that, Merce? And Merce said, because Jonjo Shelvey is a brave footballer who wants to get on the ball and he wants to take control of the game. And as soon as Jonjo came on yesterday, he was at Felipe and he was at Joe. Right, give me the ball. Let me find gaps. The ball you talk about, Steve, to Morgan was an absolute beauty. It was threaded through 2 or 3 Fulham players. Right, the ball he put to the far post for Sergi's header, which actually was such a brilliant move. It deserved a goal. This was in this little purple patch that Forest were having.
Yeah,
I just felt. I don't know what people around me and the Forest supporters yesterday again were magnificent at Craven Cottage, right? All of them, to a man and to a lady, right? Phenomenal. But I just felt with Jonjo, when Jonjo had the ball at Jonjo's feet, I felt really calm, which I didn't feel really calm when Remo had it or Oral had it or any of the others. I just feel Jonjo. It looked to me, Jonjo was backing up what Paul Merson said, in which my very great mate, who's a Newcastle fan, has been banging on to me for about 4. I was a bit sceptical, but when I saw Jonjo just give a little demonstration of his talents yesterday, I kind of thought, yeah, they're right. And Jonjo, if we're going to stay up, and we've got a bit of a cushion, but we could be back in it with 2 or 3 defeats. If we're not careful, Jonjo could be crucial for us. Because I just think he's different to what we've got elsewhere. We've got good options in midfield. And, we're all moaning maybe about the way we played this day. And Jay's right, we gave the ball away too much. And Remo didn't do didn't do any conducting, which is what we want from Remo.
Yeah.
But, those lads have played well in the games previous. So, yesterday wasn't definitive in invalidating what's gone in the 5 games before. But I just feel with Jonjo, he's got that look about him where his body language says, give it to me. I want to do stuff to help everybody. And I really like John. I thought actually Jonjo, and we'll probably talk about him in a minute, Ben, Felipe were the 2 positives I took from that game yesterday. I thought both of them in their cameo roles showed that they're going to be real classy operators going forward.
100%. People, I'm seeing. I'm going to ask a quick thing for the panel as well. Get involved, chat. Who would be your 3 midfielders? We've got so many midfielders at the club. Who would be your 3 midfielders? Quick one, Steve. Who would be your front 3 midfielders?
Fully fit would be Shelvey, Ryan Yates, and Broiler.
Ooh. No, Diallo.
Not at the moment, no.
Okay, Jay.
I'm going to go for Ryan Yates. Oh, this is tough. Ryan Yates, Scarpa, and Shelvey.
Ooh, okay. Dave?
Well, I've just had my brain eaten by a Welshman because I've got Steve has just divided my thinking because my 3 is the same 3 as Steve's. Ryan for his kind of coverage of space and his in your face attitude. Remo, because I think Remo, even though he didn't have a good game yesterday, Remo's a calming influence. I actually think Remo's not a bad captain, actually. He's got, I'm probably doing, I'm probably making a bad comparison, but I see, because I'm of a certain vintage, I think there's a little bit of McGovern about Freuler. You know, when
I do.
in those
Dave, I
days,
feel the same, Dave. I feel the same.
yeah, John McGovern back in the day had a lot of stick because he was not seen as a glamorous player and all that. And I think Remo falls into that capacity a little bit. So I'd have Ryan for the fact that he kind of fills the area with his presence. You know what Ryan's like? He's all action. He's our man, any Ryan. You know, Freuler for that calming, but then Jonjo for that range of passing. You know, I just think with Jonjo, you feel like if he's out on the left, he can see a guy out on the right, and if he's out on the left, if he's out on the right, he can see a guy out on the left. Jonjo seems to have a wide field of vision for passing, and I just think that at the moment that would be our best balanced three. But you know what? I really like Danilo because he's raw. Now he's going to be good. Gustavo Scarpa has got a bit of eccentricity about him. That's what I like about him. Jack came on last week, and Jack was asked to do a job last week, and he was superb in doing it. You know, I know he gets a lot of stick from a lot of people, but they're kind of people who probably never play the game, don't understand what Jack does, right? So we've got good options. And actually, we've got good options because we've signed so many. And when you see your two centre-halves going off, you think, thank goodness we have signed so many.
Yeah.
I mean, Lewis O'Brien is a really good player who's done, you know, he's not been fantastic, but he's not been appalling. And that lad's in limbo at the moment. So he can't get in the 25. So I think that says that we've got some really good options. It's just about, as Steve says, and what we've all said, it's about that chemistry of putting them together. And that's where we've got the best man possible to do that in Steve Cooper.
100%. I'm just going through the comments, and there's some different ones that we could talk about. Frankie says, Shelvey, Diallo, and Yates. Adam says, my midfield three will be Shelvey, Yates, and Diallo. Razdad says, Remy, Jonjo, and Yates. Harry says, Mangala, Fowler, and Shelvey. There's different ones, people. Different ones. Gordon says, Furley, Yates, and Silva, no brainer. Michael says, Rima, Shelvey, and Yates. Bloody hell. People got different opinions. My midfield will be Fowler, Yates, and Shelvey. Bloody hell. Fowler, Rick Sims says, Fowler, Yates, and Shelvey. Steve, you about to say something?
Yeah, no, do you know why there's the Freuler, Yates, Shelvey, right? I think what people are thinking, the same as me and Dave. You got Freuler and Yates win the ball back, and what they do, they play a simple ball to Shelvey, and they know then he'll play that glamour ball. That's the Yates. You know, it's almost Shelvey will sit there. You watch them two, right? You go win that ball back for me, lads. Just give me the ball quick, and I'll find that pass. That's the mentality. That's why 90% of the people are picking that combination, because they know Freuler and Yates are just get on with it, and Shelvey's that sit back and play the Hollywood ball.
100%.
You know what, Ben? I would say that, you know, we've come up with our trios, if you like, for midfield, and I think they're all really good. And my first thought was, let's just hope that we don't have a situation where all three of them are injured in the same second.
That will be unbelievable if that happened.
That would be so Forest, wouldn't it?
That would be so Forest.
Do you know what, though? We saying about Shelvey's range of passing. Scarpa can ping the ball mine as well. He played in the first half.
I think
he played a diagonal to Lodi again on his foot.
Yeah.
And I think it was in the first half, but again,
yes, it was a beautiful. Steve, it was a fantastic pass. Yeah.
Before we get next, we'll get on to say again. Eve says Yates, Silva, and Scarpa. Paul says Silva, Yates, and one off. Paul, you got to Paul 3, not 5, just 3, not 5.
Total football.
As well. Right, let's talk about centre backs. As we know, Willie Bolly and McKenna into the first 5 minutes. Felipe, Combo, Jay Worrell. That's you, Jay. What do you think of him, Felipe? People in the comments, what do you think of him, man? Get involved, Jay.
I think the first 10 minutes he was testing how much he could push the referee and the Fulham players in the process.
More like Mitrovic.
Yeah, but I like that.
I like it.
I'd go on the pitch and push Mitrovic myself. I think his attitude's awful. I would never take him at Forest just because of the way he is. But
why though? People, wait. Let's have a vote. Right, people in the comments. Would you have Mitrovic in your team? Get involved. Would you have him in your team? Jay says. Oh, David said Jay's going to aggressively. Well, we'll get Dave and Jay.
I'm sitting on the fence.
Jay, why? Why wouldn't you have him in your team?
Because I think he's got an awful attitude. I just think he's moaning
He
it
scores
out.
goals.
Yeah,
He scores goals.
I don't care if he scores goals, Dor. I want someone who's got a good attitude.
Come on, right? Come on,
I want someone who's got a good attitude. I'm sorry.
Right,
I'm not. I don't like it. I don't. I think I rate his, goal scoring, whatever. And, obviously Chris Wood up front. I know that everybody's going to say, get Mitrovic in. If we're putting him against Chris Wood, then, but no.
I'd have him straight away. I ran a team in Bournemouth, right, when I was down there for a long time. And there was a guy we played against every year. And every single one of our lads hated his guts. And every time he played against us, he caused trouble. And every time he played against us, he enabled his team to win. He was an excrement house, right? He was a poo house, it was just housery all the time. And then what happened in one close season? He rang me up. He said, "Can I come and play for you, Dave?" And I went, "Yes, I'll come and get you now." And I looked at Mitrovic yesterday, and my first thought about him was all the stuff that he was doing. God, I'd love him to do it for us. Because whatever you say about Mitrovic, and I'm with Jamie, his attitude stinks. But his attitude, I think, stinks to opponents. If you ask Alan Druitt, or you ask Emilio, great Fulham fans that we know, they love him. And I think we'd love him if he was with us, And I think if a fan base hates somebody that much, he must be doing something right. So I would have him, I would. And he was getting on my wick yesterday, and you just think, oh, what a mard he is, you know what I mean? A complete mard. But if I like to think, put yourself in somebody else's shoes. If he was doing that for us, I was going, I'd be, go on, Mitro, get stuck in. So,
I don't know.
But either way, though, obviously, I'm not saying he's not a good goal scorer or anything like that. He's obviously done a job for quite a long time.
He's a mardy person. We all know he's mardy.
And he's divided doubters this season as well, to be fair to him. Obviously, people
say this season, he's hit the Premiership, he was crap in the Premiership.
No, 100%. But this is a good question from Will. I'd rather have someone who causes trouble than someone who's invisible in the game. We know that. We know who that's aimed at.
But we're forgetting one thing, lads, right? We've just signed a player who's like Mitrovic, Shelvey. You don't want to play against him. He's horrible. Shelvey's a horrible player. If you watch him, he's nasty. He's aggressive. You watch him. He's one time. I don't know if you picked it up, lads, watching live. It was a tackle. It was an instant when he came on, and he was like this, and he was like, and he was doing this to someone, and he was like this. I won't repeat what he was saying. You could pick up what he was saying. He was like that and that, and that's. But again, Shelvey's one of them players. You'd rather him on your side than against him.
All I'm going to say to you,
a couple of years ago, sorry, Dave, only a couple of years ago, how much a boost would Shelvey get in at the City Ground for Newcastle?
Yeah.
Exactly, Steve. Football fans, yeah.
And Steve, we as a football club, right, and I'm going to invoke my history now, we as a football club can't really go around saying things about others. We had Burns and Lloyd, for Christ's sake.
Yes.
They were the two most horrible footballers. I used to listen to the great Kenny Dalglish and Kevin Keegan. I mean, before the Hamburg final, Keegan was in the tunnel in the Bernabeu before that final, and Keegan was like getting warmed up, ready with Hamburg, and Lloydie shouted at Keegan. He went, "Hey, Kev, look who's here!" And Burnsy was taking his teeth out. Right, I'm gonna have you, And that is the sort of thing that you don't see that often these days. But it's in his way. Mitrovic is doing. Do you know what I mean? And about Mitrovic, I think he's one of only 3 authentic centre forwards in this country at the moment. I don't think there are any. The 3 centre forwards in this country are Erling Haaland, Harry Kane, and Alexander Mitrovic. I don't think there are any others. You could call Calvert-Lewin, but I don't think teams have got orthodox centre forwards anymore. I'm sure we're going to come on to him. We think we might have one, but he hasn't done anything to show it yet. Yeah. So Mitrovic, for all the stuff that we don't like about him, I give Mitrovic his due. He's had 2 cracks at the Prem before, and he's done nothing. And everybody said Fulham would go down this year because Mitrovic wasn't going to be good enough in the Prem. He's proved us all wrong.
100%. People commented there's 97 people in. If you can do a massive favour for me, please do hit the like button if you can. I'm just going to go through the comments as well.
Can I just say Ben quickly about Felipe as well? He's
Felipe. Yeah, come on, Felipe.
He was the reason why Mitrovic lost his head, because Felipe was trying to rough him up.
Yeah,
because Again, you there watching live, don't pick up any things, but on TV, they were zooming in on Mitrovic's face, and he was getting really annoyed, and Felipe was just getting on him, like, that's what we all got told that when we signed this Felipe guy. He's a bit of a loose, like, he's been nasty. Because did you see the tackle he put on Foden?
You know what? I badly mentioned that.
It was him. It was him.
People, if you don't see it,
watch that mini riot.
Watch the Man City game, the Man City and Athletic Madrid game.
Champions League.
So if Foden plays on Saturday, I think he'll be on the other side of the pitch, because you know what's going to happen. But let me ask you, who have I asked about Felipe? Dave, Felipe.
Well, the thing about him, Ben, was, I mean, he handled himself really, really well, because, like the rest of humanity, nobody thought that our two centre-halves were coming off after 7 minutes. So he came on, him and Joe, and obviously we know about Joe. We know what Joe's good things are and what Joe's sort of weaknesses are. But, Joe gives the lot every time. No complaints about Joe. Joe's, again, one of us. But Felipe, for me, was a bit of an unknown quantity. I don't watch Champions League because I haven't got BT Sport, right? And I thought he looked really classy. Colin Frey was talking about him on Radio Nottingham after the game. I'd listened to him when I was coming back on the coach. And he referred to Felipe as a classy operator. And I just thought, if you're a central defender for a team like Atletico Madrid, where Diego Simeone and defence are synonymous, and you've won a Portuguese title and you've won La Liga, then you're a good player. And I thought Felipe looked, in time, and I might be going out on a limb here, and I might be, as usual, completely wrong. Felipe might end up being the best of all of our central defenders, and I just thought he played really, really well. He can get better, sure. Everybody who played yesterday can get better. But he, like I say, he along with Jonjo gave the most promise of even better things to come. And I think, he's going to have to play anyway now. Like I say, Willie and Scott look like they're going to be out for. Neither of them looked very happy when they walked off, and it's understandable, frustrating. But I think they were looking unhappy, because I think they got a window into the next month or so for them to, and they're going to be on the treatment table. So Felipe is going to be a very key man, and I'm sure he'll start against City next week.
People in the comments, right? I'm gonna do this again. Who will be your first centre back choice as well? Get your comments in, people. Who will be your two? Not 4, not 3, but 2 people. And as well, before you, thank you, Sean Stone. He's been a member for 10 months as well for the channel. So if you want to be a member, please do. I'm asking you, Jay. Who would be? Sorry.
Jay. Just one quick point. That's all before Jay's point is how interesting it is now is leaving Steve Cook out. He was it, Grant. He was it. Yeah. It's just, again, is that our luck guy? But anyway, Jay, go on.
Right. So Jay, 2 centre backs. People in the comments as well, get involved. Who would be your 2 choice centre back choices?
Don't make me do this. Based on what I've seen and who we've got, what are we going to go with? Like, if everybody was fit,
everyone was fit.
It's so difficult, because I don't want to be controversial and say this. Felipe's only played 1 game, okay, and I don't want to make this massive judgment on the rest of the season now. Yeah. I think Felipe will be doing good, but I'm not going to include him. Nor am I going to include Niakate, because he's played 1.5 games, right? And that's harsh, but that's what I'm saying at the moment. So for me, McKenna and Bolly, that is my centre-back pairing. Okay.
Jay's got it is, to be fair, really good, because like I said, we've not seen Felipe. We saw 1 game of him. McCarthy, we saw 2 games. 2 games we've seen him? I think it is. Yeah, 2 games we've seen him. There's that point. Steve. What would be your 2 centre backs?
I agree with Jay. I know everyone loved Niakate, what they saw of him, and Felipe in 1 game, but it's got to be Bolly McKenna for me.
Okay. Dave.
Well, taking into considering what the 2 lads have just said, Felipe has played 1 game. Moose has played
2.
Not even 2 full games. Then I'm going to go with Scott and Willie. And I actually think Willie. I mean, we know about Scott. Scott's been part of the family for 2 or 3 years now. We've all grown to love Scott, as we've all, and Joe Worrell is in with the shout as well. Joe's
no one's mentioned Joe. No one's mentioned Joe.
Yeah, but I think of our centre backs, to me, the biggest revelation is Willie, because when Willie signed, personally speaking, I was not at all excited. I kind of thought, he hasn't played for Wolves for a year. If he can't get a game at the Wolves, and they just got rid of Connor Cody, but Willie Bolly doesn't seem to be admired by anybody at Wolves. What's he going to do when he's come here? And Willie, from that Tottenham League Cup game, I think Willie's been excellent, and I've really grown to like watching Willie play. He's a big lad, he's a big unit, but you know what? He's actually a better footballer than you would imagine. Bolly and Scott would be mine too, like the lads.
Here's something as quick as a point is, when Niakate comes back, do you think we'll go back to a back three?
Can I answer this question? Sorry, Dave.
Sam Middle, I think. Just me.
Sorry, Dave. Let me see something right. When we played against Newcastle at their ground, and we played at 3, and we played, who was it? Worrell, McCarthy, and McKenna. And McCarthy played in the middle, didn't he?
Yeah.
I personally, my opinion, people, I won't put him as a in the middle 3. I put him as a left side. If he played as a midfield 3.
But again, Ben, when he played against West Ham, obviously the game got injured, he bullied Antonio by playing in the middle 3. So again, it goes back to my point about the midfield. He may be, with that option in Niakate, Cooper will say, what kind of game is it? He may revert back. Because again, a back 3, we might suit Nico and Lodi going forward again. Because again, go back to the back 4 restricts it. So maybe, I know Ray as well. I'm sure we can touch on him as well. But I don't think Ray had the best of games yesterday. But it's just something I thought of when Niakate came back.
People, there's 97 people in. If you can do a massive favour for me, please do hit the like button. I'm on 36 likes. Get me to 50 likes before the end of the stream. Let's talk about a bit of a player. And he's been, I'll include myself. I've been critical with him. I'm going to ask you, Dave, about Dennis. Like, we all been criticising him, and we can't lie, but he come on yesterday, and he did change a little bit, didn't he? Like, I think we changed personality. Like, Johnson played more as a right winger, Dennis played more of a left winger, but it did change a little bit, didn't it?
I think I find Emmanuel fascinating because I think the ability's there. I think there's a really good, impactful footballer trying to get out, but he's had some shockers. He's had some games where he's kind of hinted at better things. I thought my kind of most immediate thoughts about Emmanuel are how I thought he did okay at Old Trafford in the second leg. I thought he was thrown into the fray when Jesse was obviously ruled out, and I thought Emmanuel did okay that night. And I thought yesterday he did all right. I mean, he really should have scored when he put the ball over the bar, and he looked like he got the beating of players, and he kept getting around the back. And I think Emmanuel, of all of them, is the one who's had the most difficulty sort of adapting to the club and the culture that the club have got. He just seems to me like he might have struggled socially. I don't know. I might be completely wrong. He just looks, Emmanuel, like it's taken him longer than any of the others to be comfortable in a Garibaldi red shirt. And yeah, if you look at Blackpool, right, at Blackpool, you could just sort of casually say, he had a shocker. He was terrible. I don't think he didn't play great at Blackpool. He missed chances. He seemed to want to beat everybody on his own. But taking a charitable view of Emmanuel at Blackpool, I kind of thought, is he trying too hard and he's just disappearing up his own backside or what? I don't know. And like at Old Trafford, my view was I was a bit like Jesse was out, and Emmanuel was in, and we were all a bit surprised. Well, where's Jesse? And then we found out later that Jesse was injured in the warm-up, whatever, or was feeling a problem in his Achilles. And I was a bit like, Dennis, why him a bit? And I thought he did all right. And a bit yesterday when he came on, he's like, Dennis, is he really, And I just think, Emmanuel, might end up being, he's a sort of bloke, him. I think it will get you a goal where you don't expect it, or you don't expect him to get it.
That's what I expect. That's what I expect as well, Dave.
I find him fascinating because I can't fathom him.
Sorry, Dave. I saw a comment. Where is it? I think I knew it was. Do you think he's trying too hard? I think.
Do you know Blackpool, Ben? I think he became it was a strange occurrence at Blackpool. What I remember at Blackpool was he came over and applauded all of us. And most people were like, giving him some right grief back. And I just think maybe there was I'm a bit for giving people the benefit of the doubt and being sympathetic and not just casually writing folks off, because I don't think you can do it. Clough would never have done that, unless it was Gary Megson or Asa Hartford, which he did do. Dave, stop
it. Don't ever mention that man, that little weasel on his podcast again.
I'm only mentioning him because Clough wouldn't ever pick him, because he said about him, Clough, he could trap a ball farther than I could kick it.
Megson.
Yeah, that's what Cloughy said about Megson. He could trap it farther than I can kick it.
It's been 2 months, and he's mentioned that guy's name, that little weasel.
Dennis, I'd almost say to him, Emmanuel, mate, just go and sit down, have a brew, get yourself a piece of cake, just calm down, man. You know what I mean?
But other player, and again, I'm not like, I've always like, I don't like to give players grief, and people can say, "Oh, you always like protect these players, Ben, blah blah blah." But from my eyes seeing, we brought in Chris Wood, who's a different kind of player, to Brennan, to Mo Gibbs-White, to Dennis, to Tarawani, who's injured again for 3 months, and it just hasn't started well for him. Let me ask you, Jay. It's not been great for him so far, has it? And people in the comments, come on, don't sorry, don't be really bad to him, because people have the opinion about Chris Wood, blah blah, but he's not started well. So just don't put any disrespectful comments, because this is what my channel's not about, disrespecting people. Jay.
I think that before I go on to that, I just want to say, when it comes to Dennis, I think that he just has everything but the ability to pass in key parts of the game. I think he's got the skill. He's never scared to take on a defender. 90% of the time he gets past them. He's got good pace. He's got good positioning. I think he just doesn't pass it enough. Sometimes you just think, just bloody pass it or cross it. So for me, I think Dennis is a good player. He just needs to pass more. And he's slowly coming out of his shell, which I would like to see, because I doubted him quite a lot. And I've put criticism on him. So I hope he proves me wrong. But with Chris Wood, on the side of moving to Forest, you've been promised game time. You've been promised maybe a bit more money. Anybody would be an idiot to not take it, right? It's another Prem team. You're not jumping down a league, and Forest have got a good setup. Steve Cooper's a good manager. You would want to work under him, but I just don't know if it's really his fault that he doesn't fit into what we have. This guy, he doesn't fit into how we play. And there's not a good communication between him and the front line. I saw yesterday when there was a ball being made to him and Brennan was just putting his arms up like this, and Chris Wood's just, completely oblivious to it. They all know what the Forest players that have been there a while know exactly what they want to do going forward. And Chris Wood doesn't have a clue. He's just running around aimlessly, trying to, to try and put a bit of pressure on players, but it doesn't suit him. And I'm sure that really he is trying. And for people that were saying, yeah, but how didn't he score that goal from the low cross yesterday? It was a great sliding tackle from a Fulham player. It's not his fault. I think he does try, but it just doesn't suit him. It doesn't suit him. I don't know if it's going to suit him that much. You're not going to see him run from the halfway line to the 18-yard box and score a goal. It's not going to happen. Just the way we play doesn't work with him. I don't think that he's really communicating all that much with with the forward line. I just don't think there's that chemistry, to be completely honest. It's a confidence thing as well, I understand. And I think we should, give him a chance. But at the same time, at the moment, I'm having my doubts about it. And I don't know if that was the right piece of recruitment for Forest on deadline day, in my opinion.
I think.
What about you, Steve?
Yeah, I think the only thing that might save him is the Shelvey signing. Going back to Shelvey again, because he did play with him at the latter end of last season.
And I don't know if you remember, Chris Wood scored a goal.
Yes, at Southampton.
With Jonjo Shelvey scoring doing an assist. So that might help him, but come on, Steve.
And again, I hate slating players as well. The only thing I ever slate a player is when they don't try. If you're a professional footballer, you should try. That's the only ever time I'd call a player out. But it's not like like Jay said, it's not like he's not trying. But with that Shelvey now, the way he plays, the only thing I would say, I think when Shelvey came on, I think Chris Wood was on the pitch for another 5, maybe 10 minutes.
Yeah.
The only thing I would say, Chris Wood looked a little bit more of a spring in his step when Shelvey came on. It's almost like he felt, oh, there's someone on the pitch now who kind of knows how I play. And I kind of like, not in the same way, perhaps he felt more comfortable with Shelvey on the pitch. So if I'm clutching the straws, maybe that's the only thing that's going to save him with the way Shelvey, like, you could have pictured out that ball that Shelvey whipped in, and I think it was Uriah's header. If Chris Wood got on the end of that, would Chris Wood have scored? Maybe. We're not to know. Chris Wood would love them kind of crosses. And at the moment, he doesn't fit in, like Jay said. He doesn't fit in, but also are we actually playing to his strengths? Now, with that chance that Johnson played across, I think the Fulham player did get a nick on it. But again, is Chris Wood just that 2 steps off the pace? Johnson flying down the wing. Maybe Wood just needs to get up to the pace of the game. But maybe just clutching the straws for him. But again, is he going to be more of an impact player now? I know Taiwo getting injured, because Taiwo would have been ahead of him, I think, if he'd been still available. But maybe Chris Wood, maybe just a player come off the bench, if you're looking to lump the ball up the last 20 with a Shelvey now getting the ball forward. I don't know, maybe just he needs a goal off his shin or his knee and just go forward. Anything goes for him. Maybe on Saturday he scores screaming and you're like, "Way, Chris Wood, we all love him now." It's just the way we are as fans, isn't it? And I hate to call players out, but again, that's the
thing. The problem is, like I said, we all see on social media about, it's not just Chris Wood, it could be anyone. Like, we could play a rubbish game, and I mentioned when we mentioned Joe Worrell, Ryan Yates, Brennan Johnson, they were the easy targets about this and that and the other. Newcastle fans warned us about Chris Wood, but like the panel says, it's got to be, he just needs something. He needs something to get confidence. But
he's not a bad player, Ben. If you watch his goals at Burnley, I think one season he smashed in, was it 12 to 15 goals for a struggling Burnley side? But again, Burnley played that kind of football, so maybe it's just the suit. But Newcastle, I think what I feel sorry for Chris Wood, he's left the richest club on the planet to come to us. In his eyes, he's probably thinking, well, I know I got signed for big money last year. Now that club don't want me. I've got to go to another club now to find my feet again, get my confidence back. It just seems like he needs an arm wrapped around him and just pick him up and just give him some confidence. And like I said, just something to happen for him. But until that happens, we're just going to be, as fans, doubting him, and other fans could be on his back.
100%. The hour's nearly up, people. But what I'm doing, I'm not going to say watch your man of the match and play ratings. I'm going to say something different.
The fans are the man of the match.
Yeah,
you were outstanding, lads. Coming through that TV, Fulham fans should be embarrassed. For such a good team, they deserve better fans. It was like a library. It was shocking.
Boring fan base, yeah.
Oh, I was watching.
He's won more than you. He's won more than you. Kayla Navas, he's won more than you. I mean, they built a fantastic new stand and nobody wants to sit in it and watch it. I mean, but
do you know how loud you were singing that?
Can I just come in on Chris Wood, because I've been really interested listening to what you guys have been saying about Chris Wood. With Chris Wood, right, he's had 3 games that have passed him by. Right now, it's easy to say, get rid of him. He's rubbish. We were kind of, a lot of people were saying that about Taiwo after 2 or 3 games, right? Everybody went, this guy's done nothing. And then he gets one that goes in off his shin against West Ham. And then, Taiwo gradually, incrementally gets better. With Chris Wood, I think Jamie's point about the way we play, I think what happened was maybe Forest got hung up on the idea of having to play with a false 9 and needing a focus, right? But actually, the reality and the actualization of what has gone on since is that maybe we've been better without that focus up front. Taiwo down the left was terrific against Chelsea, got us a winner at Southampton playing out on the left, a big burly guy smashing right backs out the way. Taiwo came out of his shell. Now with Woody, like Steve said, Woody is a proven goal scorer in the Premier League. He did great with Burnley. But maybe the way, like Steve said, the really good point Steve makes is that the way Burnley played was get Dwight McNeil out one side and whoever else out the other, put balls in the box and let the big man get on the enemy. Let him do his Peter With type stuff, right? Now, with Forest, we've been better as an attacking force, if you like, with the streetwise kids up front, Morg, Brennan, Scarpa, Jesse, our little ton of ball players who want to go out and play football in the park after school. And I felt that we've been better attacking with that kind of thing rather than having this big monolith up front where you just aim the ball in. So I think Woody's in a slightly invidious position in that, he might be just slightly declining in his career because he's in his 30s and he's been around the block with Leeds, Burnley, Newcastle, what have you, Leicester before that. Maybe he's coming to the end. But also he might be the victim of the way that Forest have had to evolve this season in order to deal with the resources that they've got. But I do think it's too early to kind of cast him off. 3 games is nothing. Let's look at 10 and then look at 20. And if after 20 he's done nothing or whatever, the way I look at it is the man who's running our team is the best guy he could have to make these decisions, right? And like Steve said, if Woody needs an arm around him, who better than Steve to do it, right? The only slight worry I've got about Woody is, and I feel for Woody a bit because I've been in that position myself, where you've got the massive, like the group of Forest, right? And when there've been good times on the field, and Woody to me just looks like a little bit of a spare part at the moment, and he feels like he's a bit of a spare part. So somebody in that dressing room, whether it's Reedy or Tatey or Steve, has got to go and say, you know what, big man, you're part of this and all, and we'll get the best out of you. Just keep trying and we'll find a way. Somebody at the club, wanted him. Was it Steve's decision? I mean, there are some people saying, does Cooper know what he's doing because he signed Chris Wood? Well, yeah, we were bottom of the championship 18 months ago. So don't come telling me Steve Cooper doesn't know what he's doing, right? And I've watched Steve Cooper these last few weeks, and I've watched him in comparison with Nathan Jones. I've watched him in comparison with Jesse Marsh. I watched him in comparison with the others. And I'm looking at Steve and thinking, I'm glad we've got Steve Cooper and none of these others, right? Now, but with Woody, half of it is Forest, I think, need to go and help him out, but he has to meet them in the middle. So I just find Woody, to me, at the moment, is my biggest worry. Are we going to get the best out of him? I mean, and the bottom line is not all signings come off. We've had 23 years of crap signings, most of which have never come off. So we should be used to it. So I'm giving the guy a chance. I'm not like, just casually dismissing him because, when I was playing football, I'd have 3 bad games on the trot, but then out of the blue, I'd have a good one. Usually on a day when I felt like I got the flu or whatever, you know what I mean? So, and I just have faith that Woody will come right. Will come right in the end. If he doesn't, then I'll just say I was wrong. It's easy to admit you were wrong.
100%. 100%. Like I said, give this guy time, and if he scores a late win against Man City when it's 1-0, everyone will be like, woohoo! Fantastic from Wood. Right. We're gonna do the last one because we've done play out. It's been another great stream. Like I said, I'm not gonna do man of the match. I'm not gonna do play ratings. I'm gonna say, what do we need to do against Man City? That's the break. Even Steve was a bit worried about that.
I know my formation.
Right.
My midfield next week is Shelvey, Remo Foiler, and Steve Brown. Let's get the Welsh Wizard in.
Yeah.
Overdue.
So people in the comments, let's say, what do you think we need to do against Man City? Because I said, I'm not going to do play ratings and that. But let me ask you, Jay, what do we need to do?
As Mike Bassett once said, Door, 4-4. No, I'm joking. We just need to be wary. We just got to watch out for. I love Bernardo Silva. I love Rodri. I just think they've got some right workhorses at City. They've got very good footballing brains. So we're going to have to break him down before they've even got the ball. We've got to just be very careful.
You forgot the rest of the other players they've got on their team as well. So
mate, they could win with just those players that I mentioned. Brilliant players. But no, look, maybe swap out Pep Guardiola for Chris Hughton or something like that. But it's going to be really difficult. They already know that, and we're just going to have to do our absolute best. I thought I'd mention Chris Hughton's just been announced as Ghana manager as well. But yeah, that's my point over. So
Ghana, good luck.
Getting relegated.
Steve, what do we need to do?
First of all, we'll have to pray. That's the first thing, right? So, so two things I would say. Watching the Man City Villa game earlier, and one key factor we're missing here is they got to play Arsenal before they play us. So you've got to look at maybe clutching the straws again. Fatigue, injuries. Haaland pulled up earlier.
No, he'll play. He'll play.
Will that extra game? I'm not trying to make excuses for these clubs because they're quick enough to make excuses anyway, like Klopp does. But you've got to take that into consideration. The game on Saturday, like Jay said, we just have to work hard. They're gonna have 70% of the ball. Like I said before we went live, I'm coming up to the game on Saturday. I don't go up often. I know.
Yes, he's back. He's back at the famous seat ground. People, if you see him, don't go up to him.
Yeah, you won't miss this beard. I'll spray it red. But no, I just know if I walk out of that ground and we do lose 3 or 4-0, then it's Man City we're playing. I'm not naive to think, I'm going to drive now all the way up there and we're going to turn them over like that. It's just Man City. You just got to, on their day, they are beatable. You just got to get amongst them. Like Villa, the second half, I don't know if you boys watch any of the game, but Villa pushed them back a bit. It's almost like Man City used the first half to blow them away and then just... But Villa had a few chances. They made a couple of changes. Coutinho came on and caused them problems. I'm not saying we like Villa as well, but because Villa got some good players, but going forward. But again, you get, you can create a mistake out of them, playing from the back, get in their faces. But again, it's going to be so hard, isn't it? I can't see him not scoring. I can see him scoring. It just means we're going to have to outscore him, and that's going to be hard. But I'll happily take a draw. But again, it's just Ben. I don't know what the answer is. That's for Steve Cooper to work out. And
that's the thing.
If Chris Wood finds in top corner, then like you said, we're all happy. So
yeah. Last but not least, Dave. I know Dave could talk an hour.
Stopping Manchester City, right? So I've got this plan to sneak into the City ground during the week and put bolts on the outside of the away dressing room door, right? Lock them in it, and then have it electrified, barbed wire. But then Haaland's going to burst through it, whether he's injured or not. I mean, what I would say is we will not play a game all season where we have less to lose than we do against City, right? Everybody will say, well, they did us 6-0. It is a. I hate the phrase and the cliche, the free hit and all that, but it's a game.
Dave, I hate it.
There's no expectation on Nottingham Forest whatsoever. You look at the BBC this week, Chris Sutton will say 4-0 or something. Merce will say 5. Everybody will write us off. We're probably, the logical parts of our minds are probably thinking, well, it's going to be very difficult to win. But you know what? In life and in sports, sometimes you get a freakish occurrence. You get we've had 100-1 outsiders winning Grand Nationals. We've had unheard of teams winning trophies. Nottingham Forest back in the 70s, for example, Wimbledon winning the cup, Wigan winning the cup. Every now and then you get something that comes out of nowhere. The one thing I will say is I don't think we'll lose 6-0 again.
No.
I think we're an infinitely improved team here now on February the 12th than we were on August the 28th when we went to the Etihad. We've improved no end thanks to our coach having the presence of mind and the maturity to say what I'm doing at the moment isn't working. Once we got to the Leicester game and then changing and make it, we've become harder to beat, right? I think City will have to work much harder. I think whatever happens, City will go away from the City ground on Saturday and think, blimey, Forest are better than they were in August, right? So I think City are going to have to work a lot harder. And, you know, the way City play, they should win. If I'm not a Nottingham Forest fan and I'm just a neutral, I'm like saying that's an away banker that. But there'll be no pressure on Forest whatsoever. And sometimes when you pressure free, you can find new depths. I mean, wouldn't it be amazing if we were all sat here next week or whoever's on the panel, and it's like Nottingham Forest 1, Manchester City 0, and Chris Wood has scored a towering header after like 89 minutes. I'm probably being ridiculously optimistic, but I just think it'll be a tougher game for City than they would have had back in August. But by rights. But I still think, the way you could say it's almost a relegation battle, because I think, it's 3 from 4 to go down. It's Southampton, Bournemouth, Leeds and Manchester City, the 4 for me to get fight out the relegation battle. Because sometimes, I've been talking to everybody at Juventus and they're having problems in their league because they didn't sort their money out properly, right? So City, the only thing with City almost is that Guardiola came out and he was a little bit Klopp-like this week, a little bit Mardy, a little bit everybody picks on us. You know what Klopp's like. It must be awful being a Liverpool fan having to pay to go to 80 matches every season when everybody else is only playing 38. You know what I mean? Yeah. So can I just say City just Guardiola seems to want to give them a siege mentality about what's happening. So they're going to be very hard to beat. They've got world-class players. They've got better players than us. Really, that's the truth. But I think, whoever plays for us is going to be right up for it, because I tell you what, whoever plays for us will have had a rocket after yesterday.
Yeah.
Anybody who played at Fulham yesterday will think, so the lads we've been talking about who had poor games yesterday, and we've mentioned names, they're not going to want to have a poor game 2 weeks running. And who better than to kind of have put a good shift in against the champions of this country. So, it's probably improbable, but it's possible. You just never know.
Can I just say 3 points? Can I just say 3 points? One, if a Nathan Jones Southampton can beat them, there's always a chance.
Oh,
yes.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
The other point is, what I want to see in the first 5 minutes of that game on Saturday, not like the United game in that first leg, I want to see a tackle that's going to get the crowd up.
Yeah.
Someone to knock, I'm not saying a red card and reckless, someone to get stuck into De Bruyne or Silva or Foden, Grealish, put him in the air. Felipe. Get the crowd. What didn't happen in that United game is when I know sidetracked a bit, Rashford should have been cleaned out. Right?
Yeah.
We missed a Ryan Yates just to get in someone's face.
Now, that's the question, Steve. Is Ryan, apparently Ryan is on the mend from his problem, which is great news, because who can not love Ryan? I absolutely adore Ryan as a guy and as a footballer, right? Now, Yatesy, if Yatesy fit on Saturday, it's almost an ideal game for Ryan to come back in, and do what Ryan does.
We know what it is. We've rested him for Man City. That's all it is. We just rested him. That's all it is.
My third point is, I'd be interested to see if they beat Arsenal on Wednesday. They go top, right? So they want to take that top spot and just go with it. If they lose, will they be sulking or will they take it out on us? It's going to be that Arsenal game is going to be very, and I've been watching that with great.
They're top.
Man City.
They're going to believe with it if they beat Arsenal on Wednesday.
They go top if they beat Man City.
Yeah, on goal difference. It's 3 points. Although Arsenal,
no, they go ahead of them. I think.
Yeah, Arsenal have got a game in hand on them, though, haven't they?
Yeah, but they've got to play each other. They've got to play each other. Twice, isn't it?
If you're putting that as a question, Steve, I think they'll probably take it out on us if they get beat on Wednesday. But I think City will beat Arsenal on Wednesday. If you've watched Arsenal against Everton, who I mean, Everton looked at Arsenal, just pushed them away, right? Everton were like, where's that come from? And Brentford should have won at the Emirates yesterday. They were much the better team, right? So I think on current form, I think City will win at the Emirates, right? So, and then, you know.
What we want to see, right, in the first 5 minutes, right, De Bruyne, Foden, and Grealish, ping, hamstring gone, 3 of them off, right? Off they go. And then our little stat then doesn't matter anymore because they've outdone it by 3 midfielders.
You see, Steve, this is where you Welsh Warriors have less ethics than us.
Yeah,
willing an injury on another human being. It's almost like, well, our Willie and our Scott have got hamstrings. Why can't they have some? You know what I mean?
Oh, dude. Well, people, it's been a great show. It's been a fantastic show. Thank you, everyone, for that, for 106 people that took part and listened to myself, Jay, Dave, and Steve. Tomorrow, people, Des is back for dialing Des. So, people, if you do want to come on the show, please do message myself, message Des. I think Des will start 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, but we'll put it on social media tomorrow as well. So, if you do want to come on, please do.
And Ben, just to say, I'm doing a meet and greet as well outside the ground. Anyone wants to sign autograph, I don't charge.
Do you have to pay, Steve? Or
totally free, Jay. If you're a Man City fan, you've got to pay. Forest fan is totally free.
Steve, are you in the fan zone for half an hour?
Come on, Dave, half an hour? Yeah,
actually, no, Steve wants to be in the fan zone. Come and meet Steve Brown, the Welsh Warrior, the wizard himself in the fan zone. That'd be brilliant, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I was doing a special vlog in the box now with Steve. That's it. Yeah, all suited and booted for him.
Steve, I think Steve is just
Nottingham Forest answer to Dylan Thomas.
Yeah. So people, if you want to see
Paul
Steve,
Thorburn.
if people want to see Steve, please do go and see him. He's the second best YouTuber, fast YouTuber, all that. So yeah, people, let's a fantastic show. Like I said, if you do want to come on tomorrow's show, Des is on. So any Forest fan can come on. As well, it's good to see like the Welsh wizard, the young beauty, and the Dave. So it's good to see.
Look at that.
It's good to have everyone on. Yeah, Des on tomorrow. I'm on Friday with who else? It's Dappy, the Man City fan, top guy on YouTube. He's on my channel. That starts at 9 o'clock on Friday. Dave, are you on any channels? Dave's been busy. He's been busy on other channels.
I'm always a bit like, it's a bit. I feel a bit awkward to say no. Oh, catch me on this show or catch me on that show. Whatever. It's a bit, I don't want to really do that. But if anybody's interested, I think Thursday night I'm on with the 12th Man podcast. Potsy's not on at the moment because Potsy's in Sri Lanka, avoiding Arsenal's slight blip. And he's gone to Sri Lanka, but he didn't want to have to give Tottenham credit last week for doing Arsenal a favour, right? But yeah, I think we were on this week 7 o'clock with D hosting, D from Palace, and it should be a good one this week because D and Maz, who are Palace and Brighton fans, were probably going at it hammer and tongue after what happened yesterday. So I think it's either 7 o'clock or 9 o'clock on Thursday night if anybody wants to tune in, and it's a right good show. There's some good lads on there, and I'm the Foresty guy, you know what I mean? So,
yeah, well, people make sure that I always watch Steve. I like to watch him and what he said, but please do. Right, crazy people, thank you for everyone that took part. Like I said, I'm back on Friday. So my show, Des, again, we'll be back on the show tomorrow, 8 or 9 o'clock. If any Forest fans that want to come on, message me, message Des. Any Forest fan can come on. Anyone. Dave, Jay and Steve, thank you for coming on the show as usual.
Right, now for the Super Bowl.
As well, before I do go, as well, I did mention before the start of the show, go and watch Jay's interview with Darren Fletcher. Please, it was a fantastic show. If you do want to watch it, its link is in the description. Media Man. The Media Man. So, like I said,
that's Darren Fletcher, the commentator, not Darren Fletcher, the ex-manager player, yeah?
Yeah, I'd love to interview him as well. But yeah. Thank you.
Ben, on a serious point, without blowing smoke into parts of Jamie's body, it's one of the best things I've seen for ages. And I think Darren Fletcher the idea, he tells Jamie how he got to the position he's in now, and from a pretty unpromising beginning. But I don't think there are many people who talk better about Nottingham Forest Football Club than Darren Fletcher. He's measured, he's considered, he's thoughtful, he's extremely articulate, and I watched it and I thought it was absolutely fantastic. And it's a credit to Jamie as well.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you.
Right, thank you for everyone for coming on. Before we do, I was about to say if my little girl is here, so now don't say hello to people on YouTube because my little girl likes she loves my show. So now come here before we leave. Come here.
Small door on tour.
This is Mini DoreOnTour. Say hello to everyone.
Hello.
Say hello to everyone. Who's your favourite one out of Stephen, Jay, or Dave? Who's your favourite one? If a point. Dave, she points to you, Dave.
Me?
Yeah, she points to you, Dave.
But the thing is, see, I don't know if anybody's noticed when we're loitering around the club shop on a Saturday, all the kids seem magnetised to me. I'm like the Pied Piper. I don't know what it is.
Daddy, once had two minutes.
Forest's version of Daddy Dave care,
So that's my daughter, people. So she's back on.
I found my level with the little ones.
When I'm retired, she's taking over my channel, people. So watch out for Niall. Right, people, it's been a pleasure. Steve, Jay, and Dave, thank you very much as well, people. Like I said,
lads.
Thanks, lads.
Before I go,
exactly, Steve.
Yeah. Before I go, everyone, make sure watch Dave's interview with Dan Fletcher. Peace and love, people, and I'll see you on Friday.
See you Saturday.
Up the Reds.